Hello viewers, today we are here at Newtonia restaurant in Eldoret town, and as you know very well is that Kenya is currently the center of focus globally because it's set to host the 6th Global Entrepreneurship Summit that is expected to begin on 25th. And today we really want to explore that, and we have our panelists here. On my immediate right we have Mr. Sergon, an entrepreneurship lecturer at Moi University. And at my furthest end, we have Dr. Bernard Nasiuma, a senior entrepreneurship lecturer at Moi University. Dr. Nasiuma, kindly give us an overview of entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship is a phenomenon that has evolved over time. It has transcended civilizations in the sense that beginning even 17th century, the term entrepreneurship has been used differently. Even though you find that to date, a number of people perceive entrepreneurship to really be concerned with the creation of only enterprises. But I can say that entrepreneurship is multi-sectoral in the sense that it covers various aspects of human activity. There have been definitions of what entrepreneurship is, and the definitions have hinged on a number of dimensions. For example, some scholars and practitioners have looked at entrepreneurship from the outcomes perspective. Others have looked at entrepreneurship from the process perspective. Others have looked at the behaviors perspective. These three dimensions essentially envelop the entrepreneurial phenomena. But as we have it today, many nations are moving towards cultivating entrepreneurship, given the fact that entrepreneurship is a cultivator of national prosperity. And this comes in the sense that it's providing economic, social, political stability. Entrepreneurship provides employment, provides jobs, and this is very important for most nations.
And Dr. Nasiuma, who are the key players in entrepreneurship?
The key players in entrepreneurship include the enterprisers or the entrepreneurs in this regard. These are basically the actors who undertake the entrepreneurial process. We also have the policy makers who create the policy environment within which entrepreneurship thrives. We also have the business development services who provide mentoring, who provide training, and capacity development for entrepreneurs to act efficiently.
Dr. Nasiuma, there's this alcohol menace in the country currently. Is it really related to entrepreneurship?
Thank you, Regina, for that important question. Yes, one can easily argue that it is entrepreneurship because it's the creation of value. But at the heart of it, if we look at the entrepreneurial spirit, what it entails, we may say conveniently that is not entrepreneurship, for a simple reason that entrepreneurs have a mission. There's something they want to achieve for betterment of society. And if we look at the alcohol, we find that the benefit that is derived from the drinking of the alcohol is not really good for society. You've seen many complaints that have arisen in the areas where a lot of these beverages are sold to consumers. You've heard of the deaths that have occurred, the consumers in this country. I think it is really a national disaster. When we look at the key components of the entrepreneurial spirit, we've said the mission is the first one. The second one is the customer vision. If you produce a product, it is being produced for a customer. And in essence, when you do that, you need to think of the ultimate consequences, if it's negative or positive, that arises on the customer. If we look at the alcoholic beverages, truly they have very bad consequences to the customer, including blindness and death. The third aspect that is considered an integral component of entrepreneurship is the high-speed innovation. And when we look at the alcoholic beverages, the high-speed innovation is not really visible because they are using old tools, old methods, and even the level of hygiene in the production of these beverages is very low. And fourthly, we look at the self-inspiration. Are these producers of beverage inspired? I don't think they are inspired to sustain humanity. And therefore, whatever they are producing does not add a dimension to the prosperity of this nation. Because I believe strongly that the government is spending millions of shillings to handle ailments associated with alcoholic beverages being taken in this country. So the actions that are being taken currently are vital for the sustenance of this country.
Let me bring you in, Mr. Sergon. Could you please give us a historical perspective of Global Entrepreneurship Summit?
Thank you, Regina. Before I embark on the chronology of the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, I want to affirm that today every media house is abuzz with the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, which is to be graced by US President Barack Obama. The history of this Global Entrepreneurship Summit dates back to 2009 when Obama went to Egypt, Cairo, for a summit between the Muslim world and America. And during that particular session, he was able to invite businessmen, entrepreneurs to the first summit, which was held in Washington, D.C. in the year 2010. Subsequently, we've had a summit in 2011 in Turkey. Thereafter, 2012, we had one in United Arab Emirates. 2013 was in Malaysia. And last year, it was done in Morocco, which is actually the first summit to have been done in Africa. And this year, we are so privileged to host the first summit in south of Sahara, which is going to take place in Nairobi from 25th and 26th of this month. And the key issue about this is actually to mainstream entrepreneurship as the main driver of our economic development in both developed and developing countries. And it's a privilege to us as Kenya to have this because one, the Kenyan map will actually be focused globally when we have the strongest man on earth visiting us for this particular summit.
And again, Mr. Sergon, who have been the key players in the previous and who will be the key players in the upcoming Global Entrepreneurship Summit?
The key players who are indeed instrumental in this summit are the business leaders who will be drawn from various countries. We'll have the mentors, people who have actually succeeded in entrepreneurship and therefore they want to dispense this knowledge to young entrepreneurs. We'll have the policy makers because countries will want really to see a way in which the results of this summit will be packaged into a policy which will drive the entrepreneurship philosophies in most countries. We'll also have financiers who will perhaps come and maybe sell their products in terms of assisting the entrepreneurs in accessing finances, and many other interested parties. But of significant importance is that we need to really have our local entrepreneurs participating in this. It will be very, very good for our small-scale young women entrepreneurs to participate actively in this, because once the summit ends, we want actually to see action being effected based on the policies and the content which was actually delivered in the summit.
Still to you again, do you think the United States of America could be having certain interest in this summit?
They say that when US sneezes, every nation catches cold. And US being a superpower has interests everywhere. Whether it is in Africa, south of Sahara, they have some interest because most of their businesses do thrive in most countries, and they are looking for market for their industries. Remember, America is actually the largest economy, and so they'll want really to look for markets for their products. They want to look for raw materials for their products, and indeed, US grew because of entrepreneurship. And if you look at the top 10 billionaires, according to Forbes, about 7 out of 10 are from USA. That demonstrates the fact that US is actually a very strong economy with very what we call serial entrepreneurs, people who have actually done entrepreneurship time and again. And I want to believe that they appreciate the fact that in entrepreneurship you'll be able to create some new ventures. In entrepreneurship you'll be able to create some employment opportunities. In entrepreneurship you'll be able to exploit local resources that we have, and so on and so forth. So we see US as a main player they may be interested also in other issues, like maybe to see a way in which you can be able to fight maybe the global terrorism using maybe entrepreneurial perspectives. They may be interested in trying to also, as one of the most developed democracies, look at issues to do with human rights, to do with political democracies, to do with matters to do with industrialization of maybe small ventures in those countries. And so I think US indeed is a very, very interested party, and it's not a surprise that they're the ones actually who, through of course Obama, who pioneered this global entrepreneurship summit, and they've been able to really support this initiative.
And what contributions has the nation made in propelling these summits? Maybe in reference to the past summits that have been held.
Thank you, Regina. After the first summit, which was done in US, Washington in 2010, I think there are some what we call substantial results which have been seen from this summit. One of them is that it has actually been able to really change a generation to appreciate that entrepreneurship is the way to go. So I want to, we do appreciate the fact that today in those countries where the summits have been done, there is some flurry of activities involving entrepreneurs, involving potential entrepreneurs, and therefore I think there are more activities in those countries. But more importantly is that the US, United States of America has actually pumped a lot of resources. At the moment they have pumped about 3.2 billion Kenya shillings to support micro, small and medium enterprises. They have been able to also support the Muslim youth with about $80 million, which is actually meant to really perhaps maybe deal with the issue of youth being idle and therefore maybe joining ISIS and Al-Shabaab. They've been able to also pump in about 1,000 initiatives which are geared towards ensuring that entrepreneurship is actually given the right platform to thrive. And more importantly, during the last summit which was done in Morocco, the US was able to really finance up to $1 billion, maybe using other partners, and this financing was to be done in 3 years ending 2017. And of significant importance is that 50% of this were targeting youth and women. And you know, if you can use youth who have the energy, women who are very frugal in what they do, I think we'll be able to really have a lot of new ventures created, and not only being created, but they can be able to transit from micro, they'll go to medium, and there'll be large enterprises, and in so doing I think our economy will thrive.
And still on you, Mr. Sergon, which are some of the programs that operate under the Global Entrepreneurship Summit platforms?
US came up with what they call Spark Global Entrepreneurship Summit, which is actually umbrella body which hosts the other programs. Under the Spark, we have the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, which we are now engaging in the 6th summit. We have what we call the the Young African Leaders Initiative, which targets young African entrepreneurs who ought to be mentored to become serious entrepreneurs. They also have what we call a presidential ambassadors. This is a system where they pick leaders as ambassadors, and they move from one continent to another continent, trying to mentor, trying to train, trying to advise potential and also maybe budding entrepreneurs. And they've also looked at the aspects of women, and they have what we call African Women Entrepreneurship Program, which focuses on how women can be nurtured to venture into this. Because if you look at the African perspective, I think women have a very, very insignificant role in doing business. So by virtue of funding this African Women Entrepreneurship Program, I think they'll be able to bring on board the women to participate in these entrepreneurial ventures, and in so doing I think we'll be able to really have this. So generally I think they have packaged these products such that there are programs which drive it.
Still on you, Dr. Nasima, which are some of the key areas that are likely to be addressed by the summit, and how important are they, of course relating it to the African context?
The key themes that will be tackled in the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, among them include the networking, and as you know, networking creates beneficial relationships among entrepreneurs or business people for the benefit in the creation, growth and sustenance of the enterprises. The second aspect that will be of key concern to the Global Entrepreneurship Summit is the mentoring. There have been previously programs in the African continent aimed at mentoring women entrepreneurs. But these programs don't seem to have succeeded well because of the associated suspicion of the kind of things that are being mentored on. And I strongly believe that with this Global Entrepreneurship Summit, the perception pertaining to mentoring will change, because that is the way to help nurture the spirit of entrepreneurship. The third aspect is nurturing innovation. And as you know very well, innovation is a process of entrepreneurship. We therefore seriously require the nurturing of the innovative spirit among the people in this country, so that they can be able to propel entrepreneurship by translating the ideas that they have into viable entrepreneurial opportunities.
Maybe in addition to what Dr. Nashuma has mentioned, other thematic areas that will be addressed by the summit will be issues to do with technology. Right now, technology is actually the main driver for most of our businesses, where we are trying to really automate systems. We are trying to at least ensure that every business that we are dealing with has some technology component. And if you look at most parts of our country today, I think we've been able to really lay the fiber optic, and therefore if they'll be able to share with the fellows who have the experience, they'll be able to now to at least incorporate technology in their systems, because that will enhance efficiency. It will also cut costs. It will be able to ensure that there is proper communication between the client and the business, and so on and so forth. So technology will be a key area that will be addressed. The other area that I think is of importance, and I think we need to pay a lot of attention in Kenya, is the issue of intellectual property. Now, intellectual property is where we talk about patents, because we've got many fellows who have abilities to innovate. Others even have ability to invent. But the problem is that people fear doing this because their idea can be stolen and somebody else will be actually benefiting from the same. So if they can share on how our local agency that deals with the intellectual property can be able to be involved, such that if I have an idea, that idea can be patented, I can own from it, I can win, I can receive some royalty from it. I think that will be very significant. So it's about really providing information on patenting or on intellectual property to these attendees for the conference. Other areas, of course, which is on about networking is global businesses. We are operating in a global village, and I want to believe that now entrepreneurs can be able to sell their products, especially with the facilitation of the technology. I think they can be able to reach maybe far-flung markets. So globalization of the businesses can actually be achieved. And I also believe that other than dealing with all those issues, the aspect of entrepreneurship as an aspect that can be used in each and every facet of our sector will also come into play. We look at issues to do with maybe our health system. How can we incorporate entrepreneurship? As he has put it earlier on, how can our county governments embrace entrepreneurship in their activities, so that at least one will be able to become innovative, will be able to create jobs, will be able to, inculcating the culture of entrepreneurship in everything that we do. So I think those are the issues that, of course, will be likely to be tackled during the conference.
Again to you, Dr. Nasima, which are the key challenges that have hindered entrepreneurial culture in developing nations? And I want you to answer this in relation to Africa.
Entrepreneurship, like I've said before, is a phenomenon that is little understood, and one of the key challenges is basically the understanding of what entrepreneurship is. We can say that entrepreneurship essentially pertains to the creation of value by creating something new, and it demands effort, it demands time, and it involves risk that is associated with the creation process before the reward. So we find that many Africans have ideas, yes, but they are not able to actualize the ideas. The translation of ideas into viable business opportunities is a key challenge. And I tend to think strongly that the summit could provide support in terms of the access to financial resources to actualize the ideas. The second aspect pertains to the inability to manage the financial resources. And this is a major challenge, especially to the African entrepreneurs, because they are not able to really get a focus of what entrepreneurship is. Thirdly, the cultural context in which we live in the African perspective have not nurtured that spirit of a mission within the people in Africa, a mission in the sense that they set to do something, they set to achieve a defined value in the engagement in entrepreneurship. We also have lack of inspiration, self-inspiration. They give up too quickly. They are not really passionate in a way that they can be able to go on in spite of failure. Another really big challenge is the management aspect. Most of the entrepreneurs lack the management skills or competences that can translate into viable and successful entrepreneurs.
Other challenges that our entrepreneurs face include issues to do with managing of human resources. As he puts it, that there is a challenge in management. Most businesses, usually when they grow, they move from micro and then they move to the small and then medium. And in that kind of transitioning, there are some certain changes that do occur in the business with regard to the number of employees, with regard to the distribution channels, with regard to the complexities of how you do this, with regard to perhaps maybe how you'll be able to acquire some financial resource and so on and so forth. So much so that if the entrepreneur will want to stick as the only sole person running the business, then it becomes a challenge. So most enterprises find it difficult when they don't really transit from having owner manager and then you form a team. That team, of course, we call them stewards. These are people who will come up with some expertise. It could be a marketer, managing the marketing function. You'll have a financial account or an accountant doing the financial function. Same thing if you're doing production, then you'll have an engineer doing the same. So there is need for them to really appreciate that they can be able to really move from that level. Another challenge that faces our entrepreneurs is their inability to conceptualize the customer needs. At times they do products, but then they've not really understood what the customer needs. That is why the concept of market niching comes in, because if you niche a market, you'll have known what the customer needs. So they should really have this ability to read the needs of the customer. They could do it through maybe a survey or something like that, but what's very important is that they need to produce the right product that will meet the demand or the needs of the client, so that at least those products will be sold. And finally, I think another challenge that we witnessed lies with the government. I think the government has not been able to give enough support to these entrepreneurs in terms of developing some policies. I don't know that we have a Kenyan entrepreneurship policy, but I don't think we have. So we need to really have this summit acting as a springboard for government agencies to develop some policies geared towards enhancing entrepreneurial culture in Kenya. If we do that, it will be okay, such that we'll have maybe some policy maybe that can trickle down to even schools. That in schools we need to have maybe entrepreneurship being taught from the lower primary, so that at least the culture is being inculcated from an early stage in life.
And gentlemen, we know that there are different expectations from different groups of people. We are talking of entrepreneurs themselves, we are talking of lawmakers, we are talking of the government. Which are some of these expectations? I'll begin with you, Dr. Nashuma.
Thank you, Regina. The greatest expectation that I do have pertaining to this global entrepreneurship summit is basically the creation of an entrepreneurial society in this country, and of course by extension in the African countries. Now, if we are to achieve a global entrepreneurship society, then there are key things that ought to be done. We need a national entrepreneurship policy cascaded down to the county governments, where every person in this country should nurture the entrepreneurial spirit. Every enterprise or company should nurture the entrepreneurial spirit, and every county government should nurture an entrepreneurial spirit. And an entrepreneurial spirit, as I've said before, hinges on having a mission that we all subscribe to, having self-confidence or being self-inspired, having a customer product vision, and inculcating high-speed innovation in whatever activities we do. Alongside the entrepreneurship policy, I do expect that science, technology, and innovation policies should also be put in place, such that young people who come up with innovative ideas, these ideas are nurtured into the creation of value, and that in itself will bring national prosperity to this country. It will also bring social stability, economic stability that we have so much yearned for. Finally, I do expect that with the entrepreneurial society, we will be able to exploit the natural resources, the abundant natural resources and opportunities that we have in this country.
Mr. Sergon.
Thank you, Regina. Before I, of course, give my expectations, I want to perhaps maybe go back to why Kenya has been chosen as a host of this. Kenya is actually quite potential in many aspects. One is the human resource. I think we have a very, very literate populace. If you compare with other countries within the region, I think Kenya has a literate populace. Two, Kenya is known for its entrepreneurial spirit. If you look at Kenyans, wherever they are quite entrepreneurial. This reminds me about Loliondo. When we had this Loliondo thing, I think Kenyans were able to go build some pit latrines, bathrooms, and they were able to demonstrate some ability to really see opportunities when people are seeing chaos. So, and of course, Kenya is strategic. We are an economic hub. We are actually an entry point for many countries. So I think the key issue is that it was strategic that Kenya hosts this particular summit. Having said that, then I think my expectations from the summit, perhaps on a light touch, is that Obama should go to Kogelo, say hi to his ancestors and his relatives. My other expectations is that this particular entrepreneurial phenomenon should actually continue post-Obama. It should not end with the time of Obama. It should actually be a pet topic for the US president. After office, he should be able to really pursue this thing so that we reap the fruits maybe in the near future. And that finally, I think we need to really appreciate the fact that we have been given an opportunity to really have a springboard for our economy. So I expect that once the summit ends, every person who participated, either directly or indirectly, should be able to benefit from the output of this summit, and therefore in a short while to be able to witness the gains through our strengthening of the economy and of course creation of wealth. And I think we'll move from the third one, perhaps the second one in a short while.
Sincerely, I wish we had more time to exploit on this global entrepreneurship summit, but our time is far much spent, and we really have to stop there. But before we do that, I just want to have your final comments on the global entrepreneurship summit. I'll begin with you, Mr. Sergon.
Thank you, Regina. It is evident that Kenya is the envy of the world today, courtesy of this summit. And I want to believe that the Kenyan players in every sector must seize this opportunity to at least demonstrate the capabilities of Kenya. If it's tourism, we need to have the tourism players, utilizing this opportunity. If it's about the manufacturing, every person should actually seize this opportunity, because it's indeed very rare. And if it's given to you, you must exploit it fully, so that at least we can be able to benefit from the same.
Dr. Nasima, your final comments, please.
Thank you. The Global Entrepreneurship Summit is indeed a great opportunity for this country. And given that importance that it is laying a foundation of entrepreneurial culture and ultimately for the creation of an entrepreneurial society, we will be able to leverage our resources in order to create value, not only for this country, but also for humanity worldwide.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sparing your time just to shed some light on the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. To you viewers, say thank you for staying tuned to KTS. I've been your host, Regina Akinyi.